Chapters 12 to 16, Book 10, Volume 2 of Morte Darthur. This is a Librvox recording. All Librvox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. Reading by Lars Rolander. Morte Darthur, Volume 2 by Sir Thomas Malory. Chapter 12. And then they asked him of his adventure, and whether he had seen Sir Tristram or Sir Launcelot. So God me help, said Sir Dinadan, I saw none of them sithen I departed from Camelot. What knight is that, said Sir Brandiles, that so suddenly departed from you, and rode over yonder field? Sir, said he, it was a knight of Cornwall, and the most horrible coward that ever bestrode horse. What is his name? said all these knights. I wot not, said Sir Dinadan. So when they had reposed them and spoken together, they took their horses and rode to a castle where dwelt an old knight that made all knights errant good cheer. Then in the meanwhile that they were talking, came into the castle Sir Griflet le Fise de Dieu, and there was he welcome, and they all asked him whether he had seen Sir Launcelot or Sir Tristram. Sirs, he answered, I saw him not sithen he departed from Camelot. So as Sir Dinadan walked and beheld the castle, thereby in a chamber he espied King Mark. And then he rebuked him, and asked him why he departed so. Sir, said he, for I durst not abide because they were so many. But how escaped ye? said King Mark. Sir, said Sir Dinadan, they were better friends than I weened they had been. Who is captain of that fellowship? said the king. Then for to fear him, Sir Dinadan said that it was Sir Launcelot. O Jesu, said the king, might I know Sir Launcelot by his shield? Yea, said Dinadan, for he beareth a shield of silver and black bends. All this he said to fear the king, for Sir Launcelot was not in his fellowship. Now I pray you, said King Mark, that ye will ride in my fellowship. That is me loath to do, said Sir Dinadan, because ye forsook my fellowship. Right so Sir Dinadan went from King Mark, and went to his own fellowship. And so they mounted upon their horses, and rode on their ways, and talked of the Cornish knight, for Dinadan told them that he was in the castle where they were lodged. It is well, said Sir Griflet, for here have I brought Sir Dagonet, King Arthur's fool, that is the best fellow and the merriest in the world. Will ye do well? said Sir Dinadan. I have told the Cornish knight that here is Sir Launcelot, and the Cornish knight asked me what shield he bare. Truly I told him that he bare the same shield that Sir Mordred beareth. Will ye do well? said Sir Mordred. I am hurt, and may not well bear my shield nor harness, and therefore put my shield and my harness upon Sir Dagonet, and let him set upon the Cornish knight. That shall be done, said Sir Dagonet, by my faith. Then anon was Dagonet armed him in Mordred's harness and his shield, and he was set on a great horse, and a spear in his hand. Now, said Dagonet, show me the knight, and I trow I shall bear him down. So all these knights rode to a woodside, and abode till King Mark came by the way. Then they put forth Sir Dagonet, and he came on all the while his horse might run, straight upon King Mark. And when he came nigh King Mark, he cried as he were wood, and said, Keep thee, knight of Cornwall, for I will slay thee. Anon as King Mark beheld his shield, he said to himself, Yonder is Sir Launcelot, alas, now am I destroyed. And therewithal he made his horse to run as fast as it might through thick and thin, and ever Sir Dagonet followed after King Mark, crying and rating him as a woodman, through a great forest. When Sir Uwaine and Sir Brandiles saw Dagonet so chase King Mark, they laughed all as they were wood. And then they took their horses and rode after to see how Sir Dagonet sped, for they would not for no good that Sir Dagonet were shent. For King Arthur loved him passing well, and made him knight with his own hands. And at every tournament he began to make King Arthur to laugh. Then the knights rode here and there, crying and chasing after King Mark, that all the forest rang of the noise. Chapter 13. So King Mark rode by fortune by a well, in the way where stood a knight errant on horseback, armed at all points, with a great spear in his hand. And when he saw King Mark coming flying, he said: Knight, return again for shame, and stand with me, and I shall be thy warrant. Ah, fair knight, said King Mark, let me pass, for yonder comes after me the best knight of the world, with a black bended shield. Fie, for shame, said the knight, he is none of the worthy knights, and if he were Sir Launcelot or Sir Tristram, I should no doubt to meet the better of them both. When King Mark heard him say that word, he turned his horse and abode by him. And then that strong knight bare to spear to Dagonet, and smote him so sore that he bare him over his horse's tail, and nigh he had broken his neck. And anon after him came Sir Brandiles, and when he saw Dagonet have that fall, he was passing wroth, and cried: Keep thee, knight! And so they hurtled together wonder sore. But the knight smote Sir Brandiles so sore that he went to the earth, horse and man. Sir Uwaine came after and saw all this. Jesu, said he, yonder is a strong knight. And then they feutred their spears, and this knight came so eagerly that he smote down Sir Uwaine. Then came Ozana with a hardy heart, and he was smitten down. Now, said Sir Griflet, by my counsel let us send to yonder errant knight, and wit whether he be of Arthur's court, for as I deem it is Sir Lamorak de Galis. So they sent unto him, and prayed the strange knight to tell his name, and whether he were of Arthur's court or not. As for my name, they shall not wit, but tell them I am a knight errant as they are, and let them wit that I am no knight of King Arthur's court. And so the squire rode again unto them, and told them his answer of him. By my head, said Sir Agravaine, he is one of the strongest knights that ever I saw, for he has overthrown 3 noble knights, and needs we must encounter with him for shame. So Sir Agravaine feutred his spear, and that other was ready, and smote him down over his horse to the earth. And in the same wise he smote Sir Uwaine les Avoutres, and also Sir Griflet. Then had he served them all but Sir Dinadan, for he was behind, and Sir Mordred was unarmed, and Dagonet had his harness. So when this was done, this strong knight rode on his way a soft pace, and King Mark rode after him, praising him mickle. But he would answer no words, but sighed wonderly sore, hanging down his head, taking no heed to his words. Thus they rode well a 3 mile English, and then this knight called to him a varlet, and bade him ride until yonder fair manor, and recommend me to the lady of that castle and place, and pray her to send me refreshing of good meats and drinks. And if she ask thee what I am, tell her that I am the knight that followeth the glatisant beast, that is in English to say the questing beast. For that beast, wheresomever he yede, he quested in the belly with such a noise as it had been a 30 couple of hounds. Then the varlet went his way, and came to the manor, and saluted the lady, and told her from whence he came. And when she understood that he came from the knight that followed the questing beast, "O sweet Lord Jesu," she said, "when shall I see that noble knight, my dear son Palomides? Alas, will he not abide with me?" And therewith she swooned and wept, and made passing great dole. And then also soon as she might she gave the varlet all that he asked. And the varlet returned unto Sir Palomides, for he was a varlet of King Mark, and as soon as he came he told the knight's name was Sir Palomides. "I am well pleased," said King Mark, "but hold thee still and say nothing." Then they alighted and set them down, and reposed them a while. Anon withal King Mark fell asleep. When Sir Palomides saw him sound asleep, he took his horse and rode his way, and said to them, "I will not be in the company of a sleeping knight." And so he rode forth a great pace. Chapter 14. Now turn we unto Sir Dinadan, that found these seven knights passing heavy. And when he wist how that they sped, as heavy was he. "My Lord Uwaine," said Dinadan, "I dare lay my head it is Sir Lamorak de Galis. I promise you all I shall find him an he may be found in this country." And so Sir Dinadan rode after this knight, and so did King Mark, that sought him through the forest. So as King Mark rode after Sir Palomides, he heard the noise of a man that made great dole. Then King Mark rode as nigh that noise as he might, and as he durst. Then was he ware of a knight that was descended of his horse, and had put off his helm, and there he made a piteous complaint and a dolorous of love. Now leave we that, and talk we of Sir Dinadan, that rode to seek Sir Palomides. And as he came within a forest he met with a knight, a chaser of deer. "Sir," said Sir Dinadan, "met ye with a knight with a shield of silver and lions' heads?" "Yea, fair knight," said the other, "with such a knight met I with but a while agone, and straight yonder way he yede." "Gramercy," said Sir Dinadan, "for might I find the track of his horse I should not fail to find that knight." Right so as Sir Dinadan rode in the even late, he heard a doleful noise as it were of a man. Then Sir Dinadan rode toward that noise, and when he came nigh that noise he alighted off his horse, and went near him on foot. Then was he ware of a knight that stood under a tree, and his horse tied by him, and the helm off his head, and ever that knight made a doleful complaint as ever made knight. And always he made his complaint of La Beale Isoud, the Queen of Cornwall, and said: "Ah, fair lady, why love I thee? For thou art fairest of all other, and yet showest thou never love to me, nor bounty. Alas, yet must I love thee, and I may not blame thee, fair lady, for mine eyes be cause of this sorrow. And yet to love thee I am but a fool, for the best knight of the world loves thee, and ye him again, that is Sir Tristram de Liones. And the falsest king and knight is your husband, and the most coward and full of treason is your lord, King Mark. Alas, that ever so fair a lady, and peerless of all other, should be matched with the most villainous knight of the world." All this language heard King Mark what Sir Palomides said by him, wherefore he was adread when he saw Sir Dinadan, lest he espied him, that he would tell Sir Palomides that he was King Mark, and therefore he withdrew him, and took his horse and rode to his men, where he commanded them to abide. And so he rode as fast as he might unto Camelot, and the same day he found there Amant the knight ready that afore Arthur had appealed him of treason, and so lightly the king commanded them to do battle. And by misadventure King Mark smote Amant through the body, and yet was Amant in the righteous quarrel. And right so he took his horse and departed from the court, for dread of Sir Dinadan, that he would tell Sir Tristram and Sir Palomides what he was. Then were there maidens that La Beale Isoud had sent to Sir Tristram, that knew Sir Amant well. Chapter 15. Then by the license of King Arthur they went to him and spake with him, for while the truncheon of the spear stuck in his body he spake. Ah, fair damosels, said Amant, recommend me unto La Beale Isoud, and tell her that I am slain for the love of her and of Sir Tristram. And there he told the damosels how cowardly King Mark had slain him, and Sir Bersules his fellow, and for that deed I appealed him of treason, and here am I slain in a righteous quarrel. And all was because Sir Bersules and I would not consent by treason to slay the noble knight Sir Tristram. Then the two maidens cried aloud that all the court might hear it, and said: O sweet Lord Jesu, that knowest all hid things, why sufferest thou so false a traitor to vanquish and slay a true knight that fought in a righteous quarrel? Then anon it was sprung to the king and the queen, and to all the lords, that it was King Mark that had slain Sir Amant and Sir Bersules aforehand, wherefore they did their battle. Then was King Arthur wroth out of measure, and so were all the other knights. But when Sir Tristram knew all the matter he made great dole and sorrow out of measure, and wept for sorrow for the loss of the noble knights, Sir Bersules and of Sir Amant. When Sir Launcelot espied Sir Tristram weep, he went hastily to King Arthur, and said: Sir, I pray you give me leave to return again to yonder false king and knight. I pray you, said King Arthur, fetch him again, but I would not that ye slew him for my worship. Then Sir Launcelot armed him in all haste, and mounted upon a great horse, and took a spear in his hand, and rode after King Mark. And from thence a 3 mile English Sir Launcelot overtook him, and bade him: Turn, recreant king and knight, for whether thou wilt or not thou shalt go with me to King Arthur's court. King Mark returned and looked upon Sir Launcelot, and said: Fair sir, what is your name? Wit thou well, said he, my name is Sir Launcelot, and therefore defend thee. And when King Mark wist that it was Sir Launcelot, and came so fast upon him with a spear, he cried then aloud: I yield me to thee, Sir Launcelot, honourable knight. But Sir Launcelot would not hear him, but came fast upon him. King Mark saw that, and made no defence, but tumbled down out of his saddle to the earth as a sack, and there he lay still, and cried Sir Launcelot mercy. Arise, recreant knight and king. I will not fight, said King Mark, but whither that ye will I will go with you. Alas, alas, said Sir Launcelot, that I may not give thee one buffet for the love of Sir Tristram and of La Beale Isoud, and for the 2 knights that thou hast slain traitorly. And so he mounted upon his horse and brought him to King Arthur. And there King Mark alighted in that same place, and threw his helm from him upon the earth, and his sword, and fell flat to the earth of King Arthur's feet, and put him in his grace and mercy. So God me help, said Arthur, ye are welcome in a manner, and in a manner ye are not welcome. In this manner ye are welcome, that ye come hither maugre thy head, as I suppose. That is truth, said King Mark, and else I had not been here, for my lord Sir Launcelot brought me hither through his fine force. and to him I yolden to as recreant. Well, said Arthur, ye understand ye ought to do me service, homage, and fealty, and never would ye do me none, but ever ye have been against me, and a destroyer of my knights. Now how will ye acquit you? Sir, said King Mark, right as your lordship will require me, unto my power I will make a large amends. For he was a fair speaker, and false thereunder. Then, for great pleasure of Sir Tristram, to make them twain accorded, the king withheld King Mark as at that time, and made a broken love day between them. Chapter 16. Now turn we again unto Sir Palomides, how Sir Dinadan comforted him in all that he might, from his great sorrows. What knight are ye? said Sir Palomides. Sir, I am a knight errant as ye be, that hath sought you long by your shield. Here is my shield, said Sir Palomides, wit ye well, and ye will ought, therewith I will defend it. Nay, said Sir Dinadan, I will not have ado with you but in good manner. And if ye will, ye shall find me soon ready. Sir, said Sir Dinadan, whitherward ride you this way? By my head, said Sir Palomides, I wot not, but as fortune leads me. Heard ye or saw ye aught of Sir Tristram? So God me help, of Sir Tristram I both heard and saw, and not for then we loved not inwardly well together. Yet at my mischief Sir Tristram rescued me from my death, and yet or he and I departed, by both our assents we assigned a day that we should have met at the stony grave that Merlin set beside Camelot, and there to have done battle together. Howbeit I was sletted, said Sir Palomides, that I might not hold my day, the which grieveth me sore, but I have a large excuse, for I was prisoner with a lord, and many other more, and that shall Sir Tristram right well understand, that I break it not of fear of cowardice. And then Sir Palomides told Sir Dinadan that same day that they should have met. So God me help, said Sir Dinadan, that same day met Sir Launcelot and Sir Tristram at the same grave of stone, and there was the most mightiest battle that ever was seen in this land betwixt two knights, for they fought more than 2 hours, and there they both bled so much blood that all men marvelled that ever they might endure it. And so at the last by both their assents they were made friends and sworn brethren for ever, and no man can judge the better knight. And now is Sir Tristram made a knight of the Round Table, and he sitteth in the siege of the noble knight Sir Marhaus. By my head, said Sir Palomides, Sir Tristram is far bigger than Sir Launcelot, and the hardier knight. Have ye assayed them both? said Sir Dinadan. I have seen Sir Tristram fight, said Sir Palomides, but never Sir Launcelot to my witting. But at the fountain where Sir Launcelot lay asleep, there with one spear he smote down Sir Tristram and me, said Palomides, but at that time they knew not either other. Fair knight, said Sir Dinadan, as for Sir Launcelot and Sir Tristram, let them be, for the worst of them will not be lightly matched of no knights that I know living. No, said Sir Palomides, God defend, but an I had quarrel to the better of them both, I would with a good a will fight with them as with you. Sir, I require you tell me your name, and in good faith I shall hold your company till that we come to Camelot. And there shall ye have great worship now at this great tournament, for there shall be the Queen Guenever and La Beale Isoud of Cornwall. Wit you well, sir knight, for the love of La Beale Isoud I will be there, and else not. But I will not have ado in King Arthur's court. Sir, said Dinadan, I shall ride with you and do you service, so you will tell me your name. Sir, ye shall understand my name is Sir Palomides, brother to Safere, the good and noble knight. And Sir Segwarides and I, we be Saracens born, of father and mother. Sir, said Sir Dinadan, I thank you much for the telling of your name, for I am glad of that I know your name, and I promise you by the faith of my body ye shall not be hurt by me by my will, but rather be advanced. And thereto will I help you with all my power, I promise you, doubt ye not, and certainly on my life ye shall win great worship in the court of King Arthur, and be right welcome. So then they dressed on their helms, and put on their shields, and mounted upon their horses, and took the broad way towards Camelot. And then were they ware of a castle that was fair and rich, and also passing strong as any was within this realm. End of Book 10, chapters 12 to 16. Read by Lars Rolander.